right. All right. Good morning, everyone. I appreciate all of you who have come on to join our webinar today regarding mental health and well-being. I'm really excited to have Amy Herrington-Firth speaking with us today. Just in case you don't know me or my YouTube channel, my name is Melissa Tompkins Lewis. I am the owner of South Coast Veterinary Management Solutions. I'm a veterinary management consulting company that works with hospitals all over the country, actually, which is very exciting. And I have a YouTube channel also under the title of South Coast Veterinary Management Solutions, where I post all the webinars that we do. And so you can watch a backlog of them if you're interested. If you can't stay the entire time for this webinar, as it is being recorded, it will be uploaded to my channel later. I will send out the link after I upload the recording. I do also get closed captions on it, so it takes me a few days to get that done. So I will definitely be sending that out. And if you're watching it online, you already are aware of this because you're watching us at a later time. So I'm really excited today, and I'd like to go ahead and let Amy Herrington-Firth take over, talk about herself and what she's going to talk about today. So go ahead, Amy.
All right. Thank you, Melissa. As Melissa said, my name is Amy Herrington-Firth. That's a very long last name. You can call me Amy. I am an RVT, and I've been in this profession for a little over 20 years now. And I currently am an employee development manager at the hospital that I work at. Melissa has been so gracious enough to give me a chance in hosting a webinar. Full transparency, this is my first webinar ever that I've hosted, but don't worry, we're going to get through this together. And so we're just going to go right ahead in. One of the things that is very near and dear to my heart is mental health and well-being, especially in our profession. There's a lot of people don't talk about the veterinary field. In fact, it's really hard to find those studies. We are starting to see them pop up more and more now. But it's not something that's very well known. And, we hear like, oh, there's a high rate of suicide in dentists. Well, there's a high rate here in this field as well. And just want to bring some of that stuff to light. So this talk is going to be about our mental health well-being. What are some of the contributing factors to, that unwellness and that unhealthy mindset, and how we're going to kind of work through that. Now, this is a subject that I could talk about for 3 or 4 hours, just go on about. So we're just kind of going to do the bullet points here as we go along. So thanks again for joining us and for attending and wanting to hear what I have to say. And here we go. And it's not working.
Oh, no. Click on your Zoom again. There you go.
Okay, so mental health. So an AVA article, this is actually from Australia. As I said, talking about mental health and breaking the taboo is very important. We are not alone. We're in this together, not only as your clinic, but as an entire industry around the world. So we need to start talking about it with each other. We need to break that taboo, so to speak, and make it more well known. And I promise you, the more you talk about it, you're going to find you're not alone in this. You're going to find that everyone is struggling in their own way, shape, or form. So mental health it's a state of mental well-being. And through this talk, you're going to hear mental health and well-being. They go hand in hand. They're two sides of the same coin. So not interchangeable, but you can't have one without the other. So an integral component that supports our individual and collective abilities to make decisions, build relationships, and shape the world we live in. So very important that our mental health is in good standing. It's crucial to personal, community, and socioeconomic development. And it's our basic human right. It is our right to have good mental health and to be mentally healthy. If we're not, all of the things listed here, as you probably know, they start to slip, they start to suffer. And we need those communities, and we need those friends, we need those relationships. And trust me, I've been there. I know what it's like to start slipping and suffer from mental health. I see a therapist twice a month, and I love her to death, and she is my sounding board, and she is amazing. And I think that's something that we should talk about as well, you know. Um, it's not a bad thing to seek help and to want to be better. And we're like going to see your therapist is wanting to be better. I have notes, but I'm like going way off the rails here. So sorry, guys. Okay, now well-being. It's a state of being happy, healthy, or prosperous, according to the Merriam-Webster definition. The World Health Organization calls it a positive state. Well-being encompasses quality of life and the ability of people and societies contributing to the world, the sense of meaning and purpose. Um, so yeah, I mean, again, they have to do with each other. So we have a nice little Venn diagram here of mental health and well-being and all the things that contribute to those. So one of them we hear about our work-life balance. And it's not that work stops as soon as you leave the door. It's not that your personal life stops as soon as you walk into the clinic. And a lot of us feel that that's what we mean by work-life balance. And it's really not. Your work and personal life need to coexist. They can't be separated. It's impossible. It's an impossible ask. Um, so what I mean by coexist peacefully is, we all have things that happen outside of work. And sometimes we go to work and we take them with us. And that's okay to take it with you. Just remember that you're still in your professional setting. But if, you're at work, you're at your desk, something triggers you, you can go, hey, I gotta go take my 10-minute break. Hey, I gotta go take that walk. Because the more you ignore that, it's just going to keep building and building and building, and it is going to start affecting you professionally. So that's exactly what it is. It's just balancing. It's not cutting off right at that door. And I think we need to start getting in that better mindset of just having them like coexist together. Um, Professional satisfaction. So a lot of times, sorry, my text box is here. A lot of times, we feel that we aren't making a difference. We feel that um, what we're doing is just a drop in the bucket to such a huge problem, but it's not. You do make a difference. It doesn't matter if you're CSR at the front desk or you're a kennel attendant or you're like me, you're at a desk, you're a manager, you're at a desk. Whatever you're doing within that clinic is making a difference because it's for the betterment of the people in the clinic. It's for the betterment of the animals coming into that clinic. We all have a part in what we do. We all have a part in making things better for the animals and the people that come through our doors. So don't ever feel that you don't make a difference. You really do. And we need to remind ourselves of that. Even on our bad days, we need to remind ourselves that you're here, you're in this clinic doing something, and that is helping the whole, that is helping that big picture. Financial financial health. This one's a tough one. We all know we don't get paid very well for what we do. Um, Even at some of the best clinics, the gap between um, our salary and our cost of living is ginormous. It's tough. And I'm never going to be that person that says, well, if you just didn't get that Starbucks every morning, you know what? Maybe that Starbucks is your happy thing that morning. Maybe that's your daily happy thought. That's your daily thing. That's like you get up in the morning, I'm going to get that Starbucks or I'm going to get that bagel. That's what sets me on my positive journey throughout the day. So don't give that up. But you have to realize that somewhere else, you may have to do a little bit of financial balancing. So, yes, I do this and I spend the $6 to $10 every morning, but where else in my life can I maybe not? Where else can I kind of save a little bit more to balance that out so I don't have to sacrifice my happy thing? Um, For me, and I know it's tough because you're tired at the end of the day, it's cooking. I hate to cook. I hate it so much. And but I will have my meals throughout the rest of the week, and I won't have to worry about it. And I'll get to save, I mean, what's lunch now? Almost 20 bucks a pop. So I'll get to save that. For those of you who, I think we have most people here from Southern California, but if we don't, um, San Diego's extortionately expensive. LA, Orange County, all these very expensive places. So we have to do a little bit of financial juggling in order to kind of save up and be able to have those little pleasures in life that keep us going and get us up in the morning. So when I say financial health, I don't mean sacrifice everything. I just mean be a little more cognizant of where the money's going and maybe try and reprioritize things. And everybody has different priorities of what they do and what they want to spend their money on. It's perfectly fine. Belongingness. So we have a community if you look for it. We have Facebook groups, we have LinkedIn groups. You have the people within your clinic, you have your friends and family, if those are people you want to confide in. Um, but you've got to go look for them, especially some of our leaders that are attending today. um, it does feel a little lonely sometimes. There's not really someone to confide in, especially if you're the only leader in your clinic, the only manager, the only PM. But there are those groups out there to reach out. And I promise you, if you do be like, hey, is anybody else feeling this? 10 hands are going to be raised at the very least, because everybody's going through this. Everybody's going through the things that you are. But you just have to start the conversation, or just do what I do and just troll the feed. And then I'm like, oh, hey, that's my problem. Let me comment on that. And let me tell you, like 5 people come out and be like, oh, yeah, try this or try this. And it's really nice advice for the most part. Physical health. So again, you don't have to be an Olympic gold medalist. You don't have to run 5 miles a day, but give your body a piece of broccoli every now and again. Be kind to your body. Drink water, for God's sakes, drink water. um, Keep yourself hydrated, and we all think it's such a cliche to say drink water, but honestly, drink your water. If that's all the healthy thing you can do for yourself, do that. Have the salad, have the little bit of veggies on the side. um, Go for like a little walk during your lunch, even if it's like for 5 minutes. Just get out there in the sunshine. So when I say nourish your body, those are the little things that you can do throughout the day. And sometimes nourishing your body is just sitting still. If you're somebody that's a go, 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 that's great. But sometimes we need to sit still too, even if it's for a few minutes, and just take that deep breath and kind of release that stress. So again, coming up to work-life balance, because it is a big thing. Um, and I love Simon Sinek. I don't know how to say his last name, but it's true. Like, people are like, oh, just do yoga or just do this. I'm like, ah, yoga's okay. It's not really my thing, but sure. Um, so there we go. So with the work-life balance, we say less hours, less overtime, but I need the money. Fair. Again, this kind of goes back to that financial health, the prioritizing. You really don't have to do the extra couple of hours of overtime. Do the math. It's not that much more. And it's okay if you're like, what, today I'm not going to do it. I'm just going to go home. I need my time. Um, I'm not saying you have to cut your full time to part time, but I am saying that, you don't have to keep giving, giving, giving until your cup is empty. Um, if you have PTO, use it. I think the statistic is somewhere around the 70 to 80% of Americans don't use their PTO. Use your PTO if that's what it's there for. take your day off, get paid to take your day off if you have PTO. Um, just, and again, like that whole financial balance of like, okay, I really want to take this day off. Maybe my clinic doesn't offer PTO. So here's what I'm going to do so I feel better about, taking that day off or going home a little early when it's offered to me. Um, Relax more at home or wherever it may be, if it's a park, if it's in your car during your lunch break where you can just zen out and nobody can bother you. um, do that. And I get it, there's people, there's partners, there's animals, there's kids. Maybe have a conversation with them. When I get home, me speaking from personal experience, it took a while to get my husband to realize that when I get home, there are days that, hey, I need my 10 minutes. you know we can talk after that, but I need my 10 minutes. And it's also been suggested, maybe schedule it out. Maybe Wednesdays are your busiest day in the clinic. So talk to your family and say, you know what, on Wednesdays, when I come home, I need my 10 minutes, 20 minutes, whatever it may be. I'm not going to talk a lot, just so you know. We're not going to interact a lot. And just that. And once you have it down and you have it scheduled, it'll be much easier and less of an issue when you do come home and you're in that mood and they know that, you know what, today was a busy day. Today's her busy day. Today's her day to just calm down. And um, hopefully they'll leave you alone. And it's going to take some time to get into that habit. It's going to take, probably a few conversations. If you have a partner at home, be like, just remind them kindly, hey, I just remember we talked about this. I just need my time. And eventually it'll happen. It just takes time. Like I said before, it's okay to bring your personal life with you, um, in a respectful and professional manner. So if you have somebody that you like to confide in at work, confide in them. If you're getting overwhelmed during your workday and you need to kind of take a few minutes to go outside and kind of work those feelings out that you're feeling from whatever's happening at home, do that and then come back. Again, you don't have to be a statue. You don't have to be this like robot that's at work doing your job, because you're not. Again, we were told to leave it at the door. You don't have to leave it at the door. I could do a whole nother webinar on this stuff. Um, Boundaries, we all hear about it. We're like, yeah, whatever. A lot of us in this profession do not have boundaries. Not a lot of people know what they are. So we're going to talk about it. So, boundaries. Unhealthy boundaries contribute to compassion, fatigue, and burnout. And yes, those are two different things. You don't always have to be the one that stays late or takes the extra shifts when you don't really want to. Now, if you do want to, if you're that person, you're like, yeah, give it to me, go for it. But when you are too tired and you feel empty and you feel numb, go home. Don't stay for those extra shifts. Don't stay for that those extra couple of hours. It's not worth it. It's not worth your well-being. It's not worth your mental health. It's definitely not worth going into compassion fatigue or even burnout. And by doing that, you are doing yourself a kindness. And it does sound selfish, and it is selfish. Be selfish. It's okay to be selfish. So again, I can't stress this enough. And a lot of these webinars that you'll attend talk about this because there's such an important thing. So when we set our boundaries, what do we feel? We feel guilty, right? Like, oh my God, no, I can't do that extra shift. No, I can't take care of this. No, I can't do that. You got to practice to set that aside. You've got to tell yourself that, you know what, this is for me, so I can be there for you later, because you have to be there for you. We are, sorry, I was just kind of looking through minutes. We are the only profession that allows strangers to ask us for medical advice. Like, how many times have you gone in? Like, how many of us just hate stopping anywhere after work? I do. How many of you stop after work and you cover up your name tag, or you put your jacket on so it doesn't say your hospital, or nothing, like it gives no hint that you work for animals, because all of a sudden everybody's cat or dog is sick and you're sitting there with the guy at the register talking about his skin allergy dog. um how many of you have actually called your personal doctor or nurse when your relative's girlfriend is sick? No one does that, not in the human field, you know, but we do. And it took me a really long time. And there are people in my life that I'm happy to answer those questions for when they call me or text me. But then there are other people I'm like, you know what, see your vet. I'm not gonna spend a days long conversation with you, and we haven't talked in 20 years, and all of a sudden you've adopted a kitten with an eye problem. Um, which has actually happened to me, by the way. So, and I'm sure it's happened to a couple of you. I'm like, you know what? You got to go see your vet. I'm not a doctor. And it's tough because you're in your mind, you're like, I want to help the animal. Telling them to go to the vet is going to help that animal more than you trying to help them figure out how they're going to do it at home. Just go to the vet. In the immortal words of RuPaul, if you can't love yourself, how are you going to love somebody else? And what I mean by that is, if you don't show up for yourself, how are you going to show up for anybody else? So boundaries help you do that. Boundaries are a huge part of self-care. They help you show up for yourself so you can show up for those other people. Um, you know, when you take that time to go take a nap or go watch your favorite show or whatever the case may be, and saying no is hard, but it's a kindness that you do for yourself. And it's, again, it's so you can be there for the other people in your life, or for your colleagues, or for the pets that come through the door, because it's going to keep you from getting into that compassion fatigue and that burnout. Again, talking from experience, this has definitely happened to me. Um, well, I got a drink of water. Um, Not too long ago, I was talking to my therapist, and I was like, oh my God, I just feel numb. I can't, I just can't function. I just want to give up. I want to throw my hands up. And she asked how work was. I'm like, oh, work's great. I love work. I go to work and I feel so helpful and I'm doing all these things. And she's like, well, you're burnt out on your personal life. Mind blown. Didn't even think I could do that. And because in my mind, burnout and compassion fatigue is only work related, is only our profession related. And it never occurred to me that I could burn out in my personal life. So this boundaries aren't just for your job, they're for your personal life too. They're for taking care of yourself outside of work. And so boundaries aren't just to be applied at work, apply them to your personal life. And if you can't do it at work yet, try it with your personal life first. It'll probably be a little bit easier. You know, there's always that one relative you don't really like to hang out with. And you know what? Just say no. Just be like, you know what, I can't. And again, you're going to feel a little guilty, but at the same time, you're taking care of you. You know, don't let that person suck the energy from you. All right. So what contributes to our wellness? Self-care, for one. So a lot of stuff we talked about, it has to do with self-care. And what does that look like to you? It can be hobbies, be playing with your pets, spending time with your family, exercise, yoga, meditate, be a potato. And what I mean by a potato is sit on your couch and binge The Bachelor or whatever show it is you want to do. I definitely have potato days. Or even just like potato hours. So maybe I can't do the whole day. Maybe I just do a few hours of just vegging out, being a happy potato, practicing not worrying about the things around me like laundry or, tidying up the house. Just be a potato. Um, and other people, maybe this is it to you. You can sit there, you can cry, you can ugly cry. Ugly crying is a form of self-care. You need to let it out. Be cathartic. I don't make a habit of it, but let it out. Cry and drink your wine if you have to. If that's what self-care looks like for you, do it. We're all individuals. If somebody's self-care is exercise, great. It may not be yours. You don't have to do what somebody else does. Find your self-care and find your thing that gives you that like breath that, it lifts you up, it lightens you a little bit. That's what it's meant to do. And give yourself some grace. I think that's something that we forget to do. I know I do. Um, and what I mean by that is practicing a flexible mindset. So, there are things that we're like, this all needs to get done today, right now, or the world ends. The world's not going to end. I promise. There are things that don't have to get done before you leave. They can wait till tomorrow. It's okay. Um, your best is going to fluctuate. So for us, some of us are overachievers, 110% every day, all the time. That's it. And then the day that you don't feel well, the day that maybe you're sick, maybe you're just tired and you feel you're only giving your 80%, then you feel really, really bad that you're giving your 80%. Don't. Sometimes our best is that 80%. If you're only giving 80%, ask yourself, am I still giving my best? The answer is going to be yes. So today, my best is 80%. Tomorrow, my best might be back to the 110%. So just remember, if you're still giving your best, that 80%, 75%, 90%, whatever it may be, is still your best. And you need to remind yourself of that. Accept praise, accept the thank you. A lot of us our knee-jerk reaction is like, oh, it's my job, don't worry about it. Oh, it's just what I do, don't worry about it. Excuse me. I challenge you to stop saying that. I challenge you to not say, oh, it's my job. Say thank you and really accept it and feel it. Because if somebody is saying, hey, you did a great job, then you did. And just say thank you. And it's okay to make mistakes. We all have, I guess most of us have a perfectionist mindset. Um, and the minute that we make that mistake, I know I do, like my whole world just crumbles in on itself. And I thought, oh my God, I'm terrible. Why am I even doing this? Um, you're gonna make mistakes. It's inevitable. We can't be perfect 100% of the time. That's a perfectionist mindset. You're not perfect. No one is. Make the mistake, learn from it, grow. Somebody once told me, fail means first attempt in learning. So if you fail, remember that's your first attempt in learning. And self-compassion. Again, we're super compassionate to all the people around us, to all the pets around us. Very rarely are we nice to ourselves. We all have that voice in our head, that negative speak, that negative monologue. Practice shutting that down. Practice um, instead speaking nicely to yourself. Oh no, why are you doing this? Why did you do that? That was wrong. Hey, you know what? At least I tried. At least I did some good. But you got to practice shutting that negative talk in your head down and being more compassionate, giving yourself grace and, saying, you know what? I did great today. Even like, I joke around at work, even if it's the tiniest little thing, I'm going to take it. I'm going to take that win for the day. That's my win. You know, take your wins as small as they may be, take them. Mental well-being. Check in with yourself. So what I mean by this is literally ask yourself how you're doing. how am I doing today? How am I feeling today? Um, try and turn it around. If it's that really negative thing, like, oh my gosh, I'm a piece of crap and I don't feel good. Just see, like, and you know what? At least you're showing up. At least you got here. You showed up. It's okay if you don't feel your best. You showed up. A lot of times, and you got to have that self-awareness. So, if you're sitting there with your head down on your desk and you're just heads down like this, you need to have that self-awareness and be like, get yourself up out of that um that mindset, or that even that physical projection. Like, get up, walk around, like shake it off a little bit, because if you do this, it's just gonna like kind of snowball a little bit, and it's not gonna help you get out of there. It's sounds corny, and I used to think it was really corny until I actually started doing it, is being grateful. And some people say do a grateful journal daily. I'm not a journal person, but I will take a moment to be like, okay, what am I grateful for today? So, you can ask yourself, what are you grateful for today? Are you grateful that, you made it to work on time? Are you grateful that, you weren't feeling your best, but you were able to get up and wash your face? Um, or are you grateful that uh, you helped out your coworker because they were struggling and then they said thank you? Um, just be grateful. And studies have shown that it actually does reduce depression. There are moments where, I've had a bad day, we've all had bad days, but think back on your day. There's something there. I promise you, there's something there that you can be grateful for. And that's going to help turn that bad day around even a little bit. And it's going to help with that mental fortitude and the well-being. Oh, look, more about boundaries. Um, you can set them up for yourself too. They don't have to be for everybody else. You don't have to be like, whoa, I'm not talking to you anymore, or I'm not helping you. You can set yourself boundaries as well. Hey, you know what? Every, like myself, I have Thursdays off. Every Thursday, that's my day. That's my day to choose what I want to do. That's not what anybody else wants to do. It's going to be, do I want to be a potato? Do I want to craft? Do I want to get some doctor's appointments out of the way? Whatever it is, you can set them for yourself. When it runs to like 5 or 6 o'clock when you're supposed to be off work, that boundary needs to stop for you, especially us as managers and leaders. If your clock stops at 6, it's okay to stop what you're doing and stop yourself. Set an alarm if you have to remind yourself that it's okay to leave that thing for tomorrow and walk out the door. So that's what I mean by setting boundaries for yourself. Toxic positivity. I did not hear about this particular concept until maybe about a year or so ago, and I'm starting to hear a little bit more about it now. And I think we can all agree, like toxic positivity is just like everything's crumbling around you. You're like, I'm fine, it's great, I'm fine, nothing's wrong, we're doing well. Um, and it can look forced and fake. And again, what we resist persists, right? So if we resist those negative feelings, if we resist feeling sad or overwhelmed, it's going to keep persisting and it's going to keep building. Um, so it's okay to work yourself through those feelings. It's going to be hard at first. It's going to take a while, but the more you practice working through those emotions, the faster you're going to get at recognizing it and kind of working through it. And, just for a physical representation of toxic positivity, that's it. So this is in a nutshell, everything's dumpster fire around you. Like a lot of us during COVID did that. It's fine. It's great. I'm not worried at all. And inside we're internally screaming. So I don't want you to get to the point of screaming internally. I want you to confide in somebody, come home, scream into a pillow if you have to. Just anything to kind of work out those emotions because we have to deal with them. They're going to be there no matter what. And this is something that I have seen personally, especially as a younger technician. We all knew those older techs that have been in the field for 40 years. Um, and they constantly complain, but they love what they do. And it's kind of like a martyrdom mindset. So it's like, I do all this and it's great and it's awesome, but they still complain. And it's not a healthy mindset to be in. If you're doing this, if you're working 80 hours a week and your feet are killing you and your partner never sees you, then you shouldn't be working 80 hours a week. You should be taking those breaks because I promise you, you're in burnout. This is not healthy. And the whole like, our work is hard and that's just what we do. And that's just how it is. Again, you need to take that time out for yourself in order to be a little um, less hardcore about what you do. A lot of us are vet med is life. And I'm going to tell you right now that your value is not tied to your work. You know, this is not you. It's a part of you, but it's not you. You're a whole nother person yourself. You're a whole nother individual with your own life. Vet med doesn't have to be the end all and be all because again, you're going to burn at both ends of the candle and eventually burn out with this kind of mindset. So we can't talk about mental health and well-being without compassion, fatigue, and burnout. And again, these are two different things. So compassion, fatigue, tired, even thinking of work gives you a sense of exhaustion. So, getting up in the morning and you're like, oh my God, and you just instantly want to take that nap. You might be in compassion fatigue, apathy, like you're just numb. You don't care. You're going through the motions at work. You're doing your thing. Um, there's not really any good or bad there. You're just going through it. And again, this is on your way to burnout. And a lot of the things we're talking about with the well-being and mental health will hopefully kind of help you keep from getting to this point. Burnout is a little bit more serious, low sense of personal accomplishment, you know, maybe a code came in, CPR, saved the dog's life, and you're just like, yeah, whatever, it's my job. You saved a dog's life. That's more than just your job. You did this amazing thing. You brought back a life. Like, so if that's kind of where you are right now, then, we need to kind of think about what to do to get you out of it. This is another one, like no matter what, everyone sucks. The animals suck, your colleagues suck, your parents suck, everybody sucks. And it's just like no matter what, um, you don't care what their background is, you don't care what their story is, they're just terrible people or terrible animals. Um, the dog barks, you're like, oh, that dog sucks. Dogs bark. Um, so again, cynicism is a sign. Emotional exhaustion, again, just not even having the energy to feel emotion and wanting to walk away from the profession. I was there a number of years ago, and I was very, very close to just not wanting to do this anymore. And my body made the decision for me. And I don't know, it was somewhere in my third or fourth knee surgery. Um, my knee went out, and because it was workers' comp, I had to be out of the profession for a couple of years. And in doing that, it kind of gave me a break because I went from emergency to shelter medicine. And I'm telling you, that's hard. It's really hard. It does burn you out. But I guess the knee getting out was lucky for me. And I was able to get back into the field and kind of find my passion again. but I had a better idea of what I wanted out of my work. Again, some one little thing, straw that broke the camel's back, and you're like, out of here. And then you rage quit. And we don't want you to get there. We want you to somebody first or open up. And this is kind of all that part of like being open and honest and having that vulnerability and reaching out to your community, reaching out to your colleagues, um, and saying like this is where I am, and working towards, getting out of that burnout mentality. So what contributes and what can we do? So unrelenting workplace stressors, right? There's always going to be more of them than uh than us. But I want you to remember something. The stress never stops. The clients never stop. The patients never stop. Um, and there's always going to be more of them, but there's only one of you. You have to remember there's only one of you, and you need to take care of you so you can take care of them. If you're sitting here like, I'll deal with it next week, I'll deal with it next week, it's eventually it's going to lead to burnout. You need to start taking care of yourself like today, like as soon as this webinar is over. Start taking care of yourself. Do something, even if it's just like, hey, if you're at work right now, go take a 10-10 and go for your 10-minute walk. If you're at home right now, you know what, maybe just, I don't know, sit and stare at a wall if you have to, or throw on the TV for a little bit, but just do something to kind of lift yourself out of this. Overextension, spreading ourselves too thin. I know a lot of us are guilty of that. I definitely know I am, because I will do it in work, I will do it in my personal life, and we have to learn to delegate, especially at work, especially for our leaders and our managers. You got to learn to delegate. You have to, if you feel you can give it to somebody, give it to them. And if they make a mistake, oh well, they made the mistake, it'll get fixed. We have that mindset of like, well, I know how to do it, so I'm just going to do it. Well, show somebody else how to do it, then they'll know how to do it. It's a crazy concept, and it's really hard to kind of give that up, or maybe feeling that sense of responsibility of like, they asked me to do it, so I need to do it. You can give it to somebody else. If you've got 5 plates in the air that you're spinning, one more, they're going to come crashing down. So give that plate to somebody else to spin, and let them do it. Let them make the mistake. Let them succeed, whatever the case may be. But you need just to let them do it. Lack of recognition. This happens a lot too. Um, Sometimes if we're not getting recognition, especially a lot of us in that leadership position, we're behind the scenes a lot of the time, so nobody really sees what we do. So we don't really get the recognition. We need to start looking within ourselves. So I started it off as a joke, and I'd be like, oh yeah, I did that because I'm awesome. Like, I'm so awesome. I'm great. I'm awesome. And it actually, as a joke, kind of turned into to a self-validation. And you know what? I did do a really good job on that. Hey, that project they gave me, I crushed it. I got it done before the deadline. They asked me about it. It was already done. I'm like, oh, no, that's done. I'm like, that's awesome for me. I'm great. And again, as something that started out as like a little sarcastic quip to myself, it actually is becoming something I believed in. So I didn't have to seek out other recognition. And it feels really good when you can to yourself and tell yourself what a great job you've done. It's a confidence booster. So burnout, compassion fatigue, a little bit our responsibility too. Taking those extra shifts when you're tired and resentful. Again, if you're totally okay doing it and you've got the energy and you feel great doing it, go for it. But if you're tired and you're resentful and you're like, oh my God, why am I even doing this? Don't do it. Go home. Say, hey, I can't do that. Or say, hey, I can only do this many hours today if I'm getting called in, and stop there. Take your breaks at work. take your lunches, take your 10-minute breaks. You know, even if it's just a walk around the building, or even if it's just like to your car or whatever the case may be, you know, I want people to leave the building for lunch if it's possible. Sometimes it's not, but if we can, it kind of gets you out and into the sunshine for a little bit and get your vitamin D. And again, those things called boundaries, they keep popping up. We got to set the boundaries. If we don't set the boundaries, we will continually uh, burn out and get tired. We have to set those boundaries. So for those of us that are leading the team, and I'm not just talking about our leads and our managers, if you're a trainer, if you're a CSR who trains other CSRs, if you're a tech that trains other techs, guess what? You're a leader because you're showing them how to do the things. So the team first mindset is great. Just remember that you're part of the team too. So you need to come first too. You can't just keep going, they're fine, they're fine. You're part of that team. It doesn't have to be lonely at the top. Connect with peers through Facebook, LinkedIn, share your experiences. As I said before, you're going to find that there are other people out there who are sharing the same experiences. You're not going to feel so alone. How you show up affects their voice. So if you are a manager, if you are a leader, you know, if you're burned out, and we can all kind of envision that burned out manager, that burned out technician, that lead technician, um, and they see you like that, and they see you in this space, they might not necessarily want to follow that path. And they might be a great leader, but they have seen what it does to you, and they're like, oh no, no, thank you. And not only that, like, who wants to come up to somebody who's resentful and angry when they make a mistake, or if they need advice? They're not going to. Um, Mentally healthy workplaces start with mindful leaders. So, you know, that all comes back to kind of that self-awareness, you know, how we're presenting, how we're taking care of ourselves in order to take care of our workplace. And then when people ask, how are you? Honestly, nobody ever answers this honest. You know, how are you? And my go-to is like, oh, I'm awake and I'm here. And sometimes that is my mentality. I'm like, you know what? I'm awake and I'm here. So I'm crushing it because I showed up. But be honest, you know, as a leader, be honest. Like, you know what? I'm kind of tired, or you know what? Just not feeling it today, because that's going to show your team vulnerability. That's going to uh, foster trust. So if you're being vulnerable with them, they can be vulnerable with you. If you're being honest and open with them, they can be honest and open with you. Be like, oh, wow, like, oh, cool. This is somebody I can talk to. It's kind of all that psychological safety. Um, Well-being and mental health are a state of action. So it's not watch this webinar and oh, I'm done. I'm going to practice this week and then we're done. It is ongoing. It is an ongoing thing. It is every single day that you have to put into your mental health and well-being. It's a conscious effort to show up for yourself. And it's not easy, but it will get easier as you practice it and as you go. Um, you know, change is hard. Change is not easy. And if you want to change your mindset, you're going to have to work at it. And again, boundaries. Does anybody else sensing a theme here? So the takeaways are self-care, whatever that should look like to you. Remember, just because somebody else is like, oh yeah, you should totally exercise and do yoga 5 times a week. That's not you. That's not me. You know, my self-care is, you know, playing on my cricket, or, you know, watching Love is Blind or something along those lines. Boundaries, you know, again, they are not easy. It's not going to be easy. And you feel guilty doing it, means you're doing it, because guilt is part of it. And you just have to work through the guilt and remind yourself that this is for you to be there for them. Keep supporting your mental health well-being. Just support yourself in this journey. You are doing this for yourself. If somebody comes along, support them for your journey, for their journey. Hey, I'm having a hard time, help support them. And this last thing, I didn't really touch on it, but it bears mentioning. Find someone who's going to be honest and transparent with you. Find somebody at work or maybe in your personal life who's like, hey, are you okay? Somebody that's going to be like, oh, you're being really snippy today. Do you want to talk about it? I notice this is happening. Find somebody who's going to be honest with you, and you can be honest with them and open with them. And it's really helpful. So our final thoughts, if you're in a toxic work environment, leave. I mean, I know some of us financially, it's hard, it's tough. Um, I know that there's a sense of loyalty to the people you work with in those environments. Um, but maybe leaving that environment will give them the courage to also leave that environment. So just keep that in mind. Um, Negativity spreads negativity. Try and stay out of the gossip, try and stay out of the client shaming. You don't know their stories, you don't know what could be happening behind the scenes. So, try and stay out of that because it's going to put you in that negative mindset. Again, change is not easy, but it really is worth it. Imposter syndrome, that's totally me. Just remember there are many, many layers to your journey, and you are exactly where you need to be right now, right this second. You are there because you are supposed to be there and you deserve to be there. And you're not an imposter. You're there because you're good at what you do. And attending webinars, attend different webinars on this subject if this is something you're struggling with. Attend different speakers, get their perspectives, get their information. Um, and last but not least, remember, feeling your feelings, but don't linger in the negative. Work through them. And Josh Baseman, I fangirl over this guy. I love him. Living in a world of unicorns and kittens did not necessarily lead to boundless reservoirs of well-being. So just remember, it's just because it's that toxic positivity, just because you're like, everything's great, I'm so happy. It's not. You have to realize your have to acknowledge them. So here's a few resources for those of us, if we know what an employee assistance program is, if your work offers it, I highly recommend you take advantage of it. So it's something that you can call, and it's completely anonymous. And depending on what your particular hospital has, it's 3 or 5 sessions. They do, health, mental health is kind of their main thing, but they also do financial assistance. They have resources for elder care, kinder care. If you're a PM, I highly recommend you look into this. It's a year-long subscription. It's not that expensive. Trust me, it is worth the cost. If you're down here in San Diego, uptosd.org is a free resource website. Mental Health America of California is another one. If you're in a different state, just look up, mental health, whatever your state name is, phone a friend. It's okay to reach out. It's okay to not be okay. It's okay to tell people you're not okay. It's okay to recognize that and just talk to somebody. Emotional Intelligence 2.0. The the book is small and it's easy to read. The content, some of it I agree with, some of it I don't, but it has a really cool quiz in there, and it causes you to really self-reflect on yourself, self-awareness, social awareness, and kind of give you an idea of where you're at. Mind Over Mood, another great book. Kind of helps you work through some of that negative speak to yourself. Ask yourself questions like, is what I'm thinking valid? Is there proof to back it up? So it's a really good resource. Facebook groups, but tread lightly with this one. There's a lot of tech groups out there, and all they're doing is complaining. Get out of there. Don't be part of that. Negative energy in your life. But are like ones, there are some good technician ones. Just kind of, like I said, tread lightly and don't be a part of that negativity. And you can always email me. I am happy to answer emails. I am happy to give you anything else you may need or answer any questions you may have. So, for those of you who are wondering, this is our hospital cat, Dr. Benedict. He actually has his own IG. So if you want to follow him, he's Dr.
Oh
Benedict,
my
Pepper
God, he's
Cat.
adorable. That's awesome. No one has put questions in the chat, but I did want to kind of ask you, because our field is very martyrdom, where everyone thinks they have to go over and above and beyond on a daily basis, and then they're always complaining about how they're going over and above and beyond. And how would you? And also, our field sort of gives people like it's sort of cherished in our field that you've worked all these hours. It's sort of, I don't want to say expected, but it's rewarded with the toxic positivity or the toxic talk about, yeah, it's great. You worked all these hours. So what would you tell someone to try to get rid of that mindset that working on these hours is not a badge of honor? It's not a badge at all. And it can be detrimental to your health. What would you tell someone?
That's a good question. um, you know, that's a tough one because it is a set mindset with some people. And honestly, I would come at them with curiosity and I would ask them the question like, "Hey, how are you really feeling? Like, you do all this stuff and that's great. We're super proud of you, but are you tired? Do you have enough time at home? Are you spending time with those that are important to you or doing the things that are important to you?" I mean, the answer is going to be no. We all know that. And, try and give them the permission to be like, it's okay. You need to start thinking about these things. Like, you're doing a great job. And again, you can always support what they're doing. We never want to diminish that because they're doing a lot. But we just want to support, that other side of it as well. And kind of lead in that direction. And if you happen to be, that manager or that leader, um, maybe do them the kindness and not ask them to come in on those days and be like, you know what, I've asked them to come in that extra day for like 4 weeks in a row. I'm not going to do it this time. Like, and kind of lead them in that direction if you have the power to do that. Otherwise, yeah, it's all about just asking how they're doing, what they're doing, and be like, hey, you know what? We got this. You don't have to, you can go home. Like, give them the permission to go home. That might just be something they're waiting for too, secretly, you know? And you never know. And sometimes these people, like, you literally have to push out the door. Be like, no, we got this. You gotta go now. Go. Especially if it's over next time.
Good statement. I like that. Push them out the door.
Yeah.
If there's any other questions, please throw them in the chat, or you're welcome to unmute and ask if anyone has anything.
I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing. Maybe I answered all the questions.
Oh, yeah, a lot of great information. Thank you.
Yeah.
So, well, thank you guys for coming today. Everybody who was able to join. This will be uploaded to my YouTube channel in a few days. So if you wanted to show it to someone else, please feel free. If you subscribe to my channel, you'll get to see all the stuff that gets posted. So thank you. Tracy says, very helpful information and great presentation. So thank you. That's for you, Amy.
Thank you.
Yeah, so thank you guys so much for joining today. I really appreciate your time. Dr. Hauser says, thank you very so much. So everyone's kind of putting their messages and saying goodbye. So have a great day, everyone. And hopefully I'll see you at my next webinar next month, whatever the second Thursday of January is, which I don't know off the top of my head. So please feel free to join.
All right. Thank you guys so much for letting me talk.
Yeah, thank you. So let me go ahead and stop the recording. Oh, hang on, I gotta go to the screen.